Welcome everybody to Learn with Lowell. Today we're joining Ranger out in California. I don't think that's doxing. You can Google this man. He is one of the first people to come on the show who's elected to be introduced by himself. So he's confident in describing himself and better than I can. As many people know, I'm not great at that. So this is really nice. So Ranger, welcome to the show. If you could just kick us off with who you are, what you're about, and then I'll follow you up with a couple questions.
Perfect. Yeah, man, I appreciate it. I'm excited to be here. My name's Ranger. I am a professional holistic success coach. I run my own business. I work with entrepreneurs and I focus more so on the person rather than the business. But in my full-time gig, I'm still working as a county ag inspector on the pesticide team. I'm sure this will be one of the first questions, but to my left, I got a bunch of pet spiders. To my right, I got a bunch of pet lizards and snakes. I'm just a dude that's trying to get a little bit better every single day, and I'm excited that this interview is going to be one of those things today. So I'm ready to jump in.
At any point in this conversation, if you find value in it, please subscribe. It is hugely beneficial, and it tells Google and everyone out there that this is content worth watching. Thank you for everyone thus far who has commented, liked, subscribed, and told their friends. And I think there's you have something amazing going on that most people outside, if you've ever seen Forrest Gump, he's about to do something like this, like a Forrest Gump level feat going on, and that's kind of leading the witness. What you have going on in the next couple months?
Yeah,
next couple weeks.
Next few weeks. Jesus Christ, already. In just over a month, starting March 10th, I'm going to be flying out to South Carolina with my fiance. She's going to leave me there, and I'm going to make a foot trek back to California. So I'm going to be walking from Myrtle Beach, South Carolina, to Pismo Beach in California, completely on foot, no support vehicle, just me, the road, cart, and a backpack.
All right. One of my first questions was going to be: are you guys going to get married at the end of this trip? Because the fiance, is that like kind of the idea you go through like this like huge ordeal, and you come out the other end, it's like, oh my god, I've missed you so much. Then you like say I do, and be done with it.
Yeah, that's one way. It's like lead a horse to water and, make her really, really, really want to marry me. No.
Yeah.
The plan for that is, we've been together 5-6 years already. So I've been wanting to propose, finally figured out how to do it, got the ring, all that kind of stuff. And it's just kind of the timing is weird because we got engaged second week of January, then I'm leaving a few months later. But the plan for when we get back is to move in together and then start planning the wedding.
Yeah.
And then I think 2026 or so is what we're planning on. So
yeah, it's normal. It's weird when people propose and then it's like 5 years later, and then they get married. Yeah. It's like, wow, what a delay. Yeah. Maybe just date for it a couple of years, but yeah, if you're like 2 years, like that's a normal. Yeah. You went to college, so there's a lot of people that like right when they go off to college. I'm not saying you guys are doing this, but I think it's kind of funny. Right off as they go out to college, they propose. Like everyone gets proposed, like right as they're leaving for college, and then they wait the 4 years, and then they get married. It's like, I don't know. That seems kind of a weird way to do it, but in this case, it seems like love. You guys have been together for 6 years. Is there when it comes? I think finding someone who loves you is kind of a really big thing that most people don't talk about, especially from like the male perspective. That isn't like really weird stuff on the internet about like how to pick up a girl and stuff. How did you find love? If you're comfortable talking about it, how did you know like that side of it? Because I think people don't really, especially like there's like a loneliness epidemic out there.
Yeah, I've seen a lot of that content, and for me, what's always worked is just to be very authentic. I think it's very easy for people to. I'm gonna kind of backtrack a little bit. Be authentic and be authentic to who you are and who you want to be.
Yeah.
So it's if you're interested in something, be interested in it, and you'll find people in that area. If you are, because if you're kind of hiding yourself and you're not really expressing what you want to, because you think there's a certain way you should be, that you're fighting yourself, and you're not finding the partner that aligns.
Yeah.
So, for example, I met my fiance while we were both dating other people. And we didn't start talking until a year after really we met. But I was just talking to her at a party, interacting. I had my lizards and snakes at the time, and I was in a group of people, and I was like, hey, do you guys want to see my animals? And they're like, what? You have animals in your house? So I just took them up there, like just interacted, and that was just like being very authentic. And I know that a lot of people, I know people in the hobby that are more so willing to hide that kind of fact about them because it is weird, it's creepy, it's weird, like it's not fluffy and cute. But by being able to be authentic, it made that first connection. And then once we were not dating our respective partners, we were able to kind of have that connection, be authentic with each other, and just interact. And when it comes to being authentic, I think it's more so being in tune with your values. Because everybody kind of has those values below the surface. And I think that's a lot more so what makes a relationship work. Not necessarily how those values come up, but what they actually are. And when I'm saying that, I mean, for my fiance and I, it's a lot more, community, respect, trust, love for creatures. Like we have those baseline values, but they come up very differently. Like, the only reason that she's helped me with my reptile stuff is because she loves me and she loves creatures. Like there's that shared value. She doesn't own any reptile. She's not really into it, but she's willing to show up in that regard. Yeah. So I think it's more so understand that base level rather than everything has to be the same above ground. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it makes complete sense. I think a lot of time, I have some friends that are, I wouldn't say perpetually single, but it's just like they're trying to find the person. And the struggle they have is they'll have the like dates and they go, oh, we can go on. There are always people willing to, they can find second dates, third dates, fourth dates, right? Yeah. But the problem that they run into is there's so many people that are not being themselves. They go on a date, they dress their best, X, Y, and Z. They're all trying to say the right thing or what have you. And, if anything, it's like, why can't we, regular Tuesday date, what are you wearing? Let's go do something you'd averagely do. If we're in a couple, what we do on like a Tuesday together and that type of thing. I think that'd be really interesting because I've never been a fan of getting to know someone on a date. It feels like a date's like a culmination of when you know someone and now you're going deeper. But when you're, meeting on Tinder, or like maybe someone setting you up or something like that, there's so much pressure on that date to do everything right, to act a certain way, or with all the social pressure as well from the people around you. It just seems that the percentages that you need to get it right are so small for that person to actually end up showing you who they are and you showing them who you are in a way that you guys can kind of be receptive of it. It's just like you're like trying to land, a basket from like, where you're at to where I'm at. It's like just not something really possible. I think I like more situations what we were talking about where you can be yourself, you can be very open, and you can do things that are that bring that stuff out. Like the people in my life, I say, maybe go on group dates, maybe do group things because that's something that people don't talk about or that people don't respect enough. It's like the friends around the person you love are as important as the person you love. Like if you do not manage those relationships, they will manage you. So, a lot of people are like, oh, I'm dating this person, and they have like 3 friends and one hates you. You gotta like work on that person who hates you a little bit because eventually you're gonna mess up, and that person's gonna be like, oh, I told you they were a piece of shit the whole time. You want someone balanced. Like if you are a jerk, then for them to tell you and stuff like that. But yeah, you make perfect sense to me. I think a lot of people, it's hard to be yourself. I think sometimes it's really hard to be yourself, and it takes a lot of time to like reflect and find it. But it does sound like, if I'm taking a guess, like your significant other is she didn't grow up on a farm. She wasn't a farm person.
No, so it's kind of funny because it's very different. And she grew up more so like in the Bay Area, and I grew up small town USA, middle of nowhere. So we both met in college, and she was environmental science, I was ag economics. So I don't know. It's kind of like the cute HGTV love story.
Yeah, sounds like it.
The city girl, the farm boy. So, and again, it's like, yeah, we came from different areas. We have different experiences, different backgrounds. She grew up dancing and doing all this cool stuff, and I grew up in FFA, farming, doing that, a very different route. And it kind of going back to what you said, it sounds like it was when you think of those dates that are, everything's perfect and meticulously planned, it sounds like you're kind of putting on a show rather than having an actual real conversation between the two of you. And I think that that is really what made us work in the very beginning. Because we were kind of like seeing each other every once in a while, like mutual friends. We'd end up in the same space, kind of chitter chat. And even from the beginning, it was more so, hey, I'm going to go get boba tea or a coffee. Like, we're going to study. Do you want to hang out and like just interact a little bit here and there? I'm going to run errands. Do you want to go with me? Like, it was more so like very small interactions that led to us starting to date and be official and be where we are now. So I really like what you said there, that it's like, it sounds like putting a lot of pressure on yourself to perform in that moment doesn't let your true self come out.
Yeah. And it's like, what are you performing against too as well? It's the, like, you don't know what that person likes or dislikes. And a lot of times I think people try to do things to make the other person happy, but it's
Yeah.
like a caricature of who that person is. It's like not even who they are. And I think that's what I think a lot of people get offended by it when someone does something like, oh, I did this nice thing. And then the
Hmm.
person's like, "Oh, you're kind of creepy and weird." It's like, "Well, I didn't really." Like, I think there's like a misalignment there, or you're just generally being creepy. But I don't inherently think reptiles and spiders are creepy, even though spiders creep me out. I
Yeah.
wouldn't. I don't think like you owning them is inherently creepy. Is what I mean to say. Um, but the it's kind of like brushing your teeth. I guess it's like when do you get the cavity? It's like the first time you don't brush your teeth, or it's like the 100th. The reverse of that is how I think where love comes from. It's like you routinely brush your teeth, getting to know the person, and
Yeah.
then at a certain point it seems like from my experience, like there's like a threshold that is met, and then like it like multiplies, and that's what love is. Like it's where love comes from. You just
Yeah.
kind of around them a lot.
Yeah. It's just like that consistency of showing up for yourself and for them. And again, kind of going back to what you just said, like that caricature that people make in their minds of other people. I the mindset that I kind of go into every conversation is to be present and to be curious.
Mhm.
Like you don't know. Sometimes people even use words that have a common meaning, and that's not at all what they're saying.
Oh, that's fun. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's
So it's
true.
like, wait a second. Like for example, there was a friend of mine. She said that she told her family that she wanted to elope, and her parents got all upset at her. But in her mind, that elopement meant me, my person, our close family and friends. But
Yeah.
elope means just the two of you. So
Hmm.
it's like in her mind it was the wrong thing and it led to this kind of blowout. I was like, that could have been avoided. One, if well, that was also a case of you used the wrong word,
Hmm.
but what do you mean by that? Like
Yeah.
just even that, or like what does it actually mean to you? Which is also putting it on the other person to be truthful, because they
Yeah.
might also have that idea that they need to perform and do these things a certain way. So I think if people were more curious, present in the moment, and honest, it would be a lot easier to build those relationships over time.
Yeah. Do you have any other than just being present and being curious? Like Robert Greene says that when he meets the author of the 48 Laws of Power, amongst
Yeah.
other books, which are right there, uh, he he says that when he meets someone for the first time, he tries to focus on like coming away with three things that he noticed about the person, maybe how they hold themselves, how they speak, that type of thing, and he'll think about it later to like have a better understanding. When you meet people, are you looking? Are you noticing or looking for anything in particular? This doesn't have to be romantic, clearly, because you're about to be like completely permanently, taken off the market. Um, so at least, especially for the last 6 years as well. But are you looking for anything like to discern, people's true selves and that type of thing?
Yeah, I think it's a lot of it has to do with how they're showing up.
Hmm.
Like I think I can generally kind of tell, oh, like is this person nervous? Like why are they here? The thing that comes up for me when we have this conversation is networking events, because
Yeah.
that's something that I still struggle with. And when I go into a networking event, I kind of have a goal of my own of, okay, talk to 5 people, get 5 business cards, give 5 business cards, interact. And in that kind of a situation, I think it's usually like, why are they there? Like, what are their motives? Of course, it's to network, to get their business, but there's something else there. What else is there?
Yeah.
What are they interested in? Where are they at? What are their priorities? And just really understand them. Like, why are you in your business? Like, there's something about churros that really like excites you. Why that and not some other dessert item or some other food, and just really try to get them to go a little bit deeper and have more conversation so that I can walk away with something else beyond, oh, that's the churro guy that has a food truck and wants a second one.
Mm-hmm.
So I think getting a little bit deeper on the surface level is what I try to do.
Yeah, especially when people say they have a problem. You could, simply like, hey, what's your problem? I literally asked someone a week ago, what's some problems you're having? We can talk about them. And he was like, well, and then he's like, well, like, tell me more about your background. It's like, how does my background help you tell me what problems you're having? And he's like, well, it would just be easier. So I think it'd be easier if you just list a couple problems you're having. But I think a lot of times, I'm just making fun of a guy now. That wasn't helpful to anything. But a lot of times people say I have this problem. It rarely is it that problem as well. It's usually like if you ask questions about it, you can understand like the deeper thing. If you're at a networking event, so like a fun game I play, it's not necessarily a game, but it's just something I do, is like your thing about meeting 5 people, you could try to meet sufficient enough people where you could help 2 to 3 people find someone in that group that could help them with their problem, because that's pretty powerful too. If you're listening so deeply that you can see someone's problem and their strengths, and you see another person's problem and their strengths, you're like, hey, you should talk to Ranger, you should talk to Bob over here. He can help you with this this coaching thing that you're working on, you're speaking or whatever you want to call. Like that stuff's pretty fun too. And then both of them know, like, oh, Ranger's the guy. He knows how to.
Yeah, I like that.
He listens well. Yeah,
I like that a lot. Actually, that's interesting.
Mm-hmm. Well, if it works really well, you get all the credit. But if it doesn't work, you're welcome to blame me. So for the diving back into the walk across America, is there going to be any time to enjoy Myrtle Beach? I'm told that's a vacation resort. So are you guys going to spend any time just like, hey, wow, we're now fiancés, or is it just like, see you later, walking?
Yeah, so my plan right now is my last day of my day job is the 28th. I'm going to spend 3 or 4 days, packing up the rest of my room. I live with my mother in the Central Valley area, so I'm packing up the rest of my room, going to send off everything that I don't need and non-necessaries to my dad's place because he has more space. Do a little party shindig in Sacramento area with some friends and family on the 2nd or 3rd. And then I think that Monday, her and I are going to fly out to South Carolina. I'm not really sure where we're staying the first few days. We're still trying to figure out the details there. But just kind of be cute and engaged for about a week or so. And then the 10th, I start the walk. And after that, she hops on the plane back to California.
Now, from my first thought when I'm hearing about this walk across America, especially if you don't have a vehicle coming with you, the loneliness, you're all alone. How are you going to be safe? Like, is there going to be like a tracker on you so people know where you're at all the whole time? Like, how are you handling the safety element of like a car hitting you or something like that? I don't want anything bad to happen to you, basically. So, how do you think about safety?
No, I appreciate that. Yeah. So what I'm doing is I do have a few different ways of tracking. It's going to be shared with friends and family so they can kind of keep an eye on it, and if anybody notices something. Have a group chat there set up like, hey, is Ranger's trackers moving for anybody else? What's going on? Why is he stopped? Et cetera, et cetera. I'm going to send out like a text every few hours, just like hey, I'm alive, hey, I'm alive, hey, I'm alive. Hey, I'm going to take a break for a little bit. I'm going to grab some food. Like try to keep them updated in that group chat. Mm-hmm. And then I guess that's really it. Just those kinds of like checks and balances to make sure I'm good still.
Yeah.
So that's really the main way.
Yeah. Sorry. Go ahead.
I was gonna say that's the main way, and then of course, like at the end of the night, hey, this is where I'm at. This is my location. I'm planning on leaving by 6 a.m. and just interacting that way.
What might be interesting as well, might like cut into the purpose of the walk across America. But since you're known in FFA where you're at, it'd be interesting if you could, map out all the FFAs across the area. And so that, the local FFA is like, oh, here comes Ranger. And they can like, give you pies or something. I don't know. We were before the we were talking about pies before we started recording today. So I'm hungry. But, that might be kind of fun too.
Yeah. So that was actually something that I am going to be working on as well. I'm raising money for National FFA for their SAE grants, their Supervised Agricultural Experience grants. So I'm going to kind of use that network, like, hey, I'm going to interview like the state president or the state sentinel for my podcast, and also Do you guys know of anywhere, like any chapters that would be willing to let me crash in like the Ag Advisor's front yard, or just kind of keep track of that? I was in the Alpha Gamma Rho fraternity in college, so I'm going to be mapping out where the other fraternity houses are throughout this country. Um, I'm in a referral network called Gold Star Referral Clubs, and they have chapters all over the country. So I'm going to be using those as a way to like, hey, I'm walking through. Can I crash in your backyard? Hey, do you know of anywhere in this area that I can set up a tent? Hey, can I use your couch? Can I shower? Please, God, please let me shower. Uh, so just kind of using all those networks that I've developed over the last 2 decades to help and support, and kind of like you mentioned, like see where I can also be of support, whether it's through my podcast that I'm going to launch, or making those connections, or I don't know, just really figuring out ways that I can support those that are helping me.
It'd be interesting if you have a good enough phone. Most new phones the last like 5 years are good enough for this, but you could do interviews as you're going across America and uploading them at the nearest library or something, like or dropping them to your fiance and then she uploads them or something like that. Or you like you put them on USBs and then you ship them to your fiance and then she uploads it, or many different ways of doing it. But that'd be kind of fun too. It's like a walk across America, and then there's like podcasts across America, so you can like really upsell it.
Yeah, so I mean that's really a big part of it too. Is like the podcast that I'm going to be working on is interviewing people like leaders, entrepreneurs, nonprofit leaders, and in turn the people that I'm meeting on the walk. So I'd like to see if there's a way to kind of have that value add of, oh, I'm talking with a accountant from, I don't know, Alabama. Here's some of his tips. Here's his background. This is why he loves doing it. But then also, hey, here's Joe Thomas that I met that's letting me use his front yard. Like, here's a 15-minute episode about his story, and his dad that was a veteran. Like really highlighting people that are making a difference, whatever that difference is. I think would be a cool tip.
Yeah, no, it'd be fun.
Yeah,
because it shows a side of America that people don't see. If you're just online, America feels like a terrible, dangerous place. But walk down the street, say hi to someone, get off the internet for a while, and it's like, wow, it's not so bad. Like, we live in a very fortunate time, I think. And I'm sure your trip will go well. I do hope that you have like maybe like a giant cone that goes on your head that's reflective or something. Like something that like maybe blinks so people know you're there.
Yeah, I'm gonna be having the vest, the lights, the flags. I'm as much as I can, man.
Yes, good.
I talked to a few other guys that have done it, and they're like, be ready to bail at any moment. Like, don't get complicit. Don't zone out. Don't look at your phone while you're walking on the side of the road. Be smart. Don't be dumb. Have an earbud in. Listen to a podcast or music, but be aware. Make eye contact. So they've prepped me on all the dangers as much as they can before I actually start. So,
are you gonna walk on like the side of the road so you're current with the traffic, or you're walking with the traffic coming at you? I always walk when I'm on the side of the road with the traffic coming at me because I can see it coming. I know you're not supposed to, technically.
I think you're supposed to.
Really? Come at you?
Yeah.
I was told that you're supposed to go with the traffic, which I find unsafe. Because if I can see them coming, I can kind of get out of the way.
Disclaimer, not legal advice.
Yes.
I have no idea. I've always heard if you're on the sidewalk, probably walk with traffic, but if you're walking on the side of the road, walk against it. And it's really for that you can see them coming at you. Because there's some kind of like psychological principle that you go towards what you're looking at.
Yeah.
And when people on the road see you, they're going to drift a little bit toward you, even though they're trying not to. And if they're doing that too heavy coming at you, you can get out of the way. But if they're doing that from behind, you'll have no idea, and you won't be able to bail. Like, if they're coming at you at 90 miles an hour, like, you're probably screwed regardless, but at least you have a chance to get out of the way. Mm-hmm. Maybe 90 is a little bit too high. Maybe that's really fast. I don't know. But
no, I think you get out of the way. As long as you see it coming. If you're on one of those crests of a hill where the car's coming and you're right before you're on the top of it, and you can't see it. So like you're right here, they're right coming over, and you can't see them. Then they're going 90, and you don't have the time to react. Most of the time, I think you can see them coming. I walk on the side of the road too much. I'm probably gonna die one of these days. But I always do it with them coming at me, and I do have a lot of reflective tape. You can get reflective tape off of Amazon for like $10.
Yeah, no,
I wrap that stuff on me.
I just put my cart together yesterday to start practicing with it, and yeah, that baby's going to be covered in the stuff, so people will be able to see me hopefully a mile away.
Sweet. In a good way, like but what are these grants and what are they for?
Yeah, so well, I'm raising money for 3 different nonprofits while I walk, and for FFA, it's going to be the again, supervised agricultural experience SAE grants, basically work-based learning. Really, my ideal for that is they're going to go to FFA students that are doing some kind of entrepreneurial experience. Growing up, I sold meat birds, lambs, plants, did some work like landscaping, yard work, etc. And I think that was really beneficial for me in terms of learning how to advertise, sell a product, make a sale, etc. So those grants, I think they're $1,000 grants, would be going to students all over the U.S. that apply for it to help them start their business and get the ball rolling on that.
This sounds really valuable. What are the other 2 nonprofits?
Yeah, so the other 2 are, one of them is called Bigger Than the Trail, and they are a network of trail runners and long distance runners, and they raise money for folks that need access to mental health services. So therapy, consulting, life coaching. Basically, their focus isn't people that need mental health services that run. It's more so they're a group of runners that raise money for people that need it.
Yeah.
So they help offer, I think they're working with BetterHelp for a little bit, but they have to change it because they changed their pricing structure. But yeah, people apply for it and they can get like a couple months of therapy for free. And then after that, they might have to pay for it, but they try to help get people in the door at least.
A couple months is massive.
What was that?
I was just saying, a couple months is massive.
Yeah, so
it helping people.
Super beneficial for a lot of people. And I mean, I was into running for a while. Right now, I'm more so into weightlifting and that kind of endurance for the walk. But I figured that, I'm doing the walk, I'll be able to work with local running groups and trail running and kind of extreme sport people. So I'm hoping that aspect will help me work with them and get them some visibility and more funding to do what they need to do.
Yeah, I think something would be fun there is if you could start like a hashtag campaign called like Get Me David Goggins, Get Me Goggins, and just try to get him to join you. Like I'm walking across America and every day I'm gonna eat, I don't know, do something silly until David Goggins responds and joins me on this walk. Unless he's just call him a little bitch. Like he's like the people across America don't know who you are, like stuff like that. If you ever read his book, he's big on this. I think he'd meet you and like start racing you. That'd probably be the problem. He'd just
shit out of me.
Yeah, he'd probably get to the beginning and then run the whole way just to make a point. But yeah, that might be fun because then he'd boost it a bunch.
Yeah, no, that'd be hype. That's actually interesting. Yeah, get some kind of celeb or get some kind of get something going.
He'd be good for it.
Yeah, no, that'd be awesome.
Yeah, if you're going anywhere near me, I'd come out, but I'm not a celebrity. I'm just Lowell. Lowell. You're just Lowell. Are you getting your shoes from REI so you can if something happens to them, you can get new ones? They have a pretty good policy on that stuff.
So I didn't get my shoes from REI. I got them from a store called Shields.
Don't know it.
Yeah, I think there's more than just one of them, but it's in Sparks, Nevada, kind of by Reno. But I got Keen, Keen shoes. So I'm trying to see if I can get some kind of sponsorship with them or get some kind of, even a discount. I don't know. But I know that I got my backpack from REI and I signed up for their membership so that if anything happens, they'll fix it and help me not die, I guess. So
yeah,
trying to use those.
Well, I'd love to see a post. If you do any posts trying to get people's attention, just email me or ping me and I'll share it too. And so it's like, hey, REI, I'm doing this across America. You want to support me? I'm doing these 3 charities. Even if it's just like a retweet, I'll be a part of the brigade that respectfully spams people. So
Hell yeah, I
that way we
love it.
can help as well. And then what
Yeah.
was the third nonprofit?
Yeah. So the third one is called the Hospice Promise.
Hmm.
They are the foundation for an organization called Grace Hospice. He was struggling with it, fighting it for several years, but in 2019, my Papa Larry passed away from Alzheimer's.
Hmm.
And in the few months leading up to his passing, Grace Hospice was able to help my Nana Rose with, caring for him, showing up. They helped with, rent, bills, utilities. Like they helped with a lot of stuff that was able to make that passing a lot. It sounds kind of shitty, but like easier for everybody.
Yeah.
Like they could focus more so on the grieving rather than everything else going on. So I'm raising money for the Hospice Promise that does non-hospice related. They pay for non-hospice related activities like rent, utilities, food, childcare, and then after postpartum, kind of that burial. What is it? Estate planning. Really anything that's not specifically the hospice care. And the money that I raise is going to be split between those three nonprofits, FFA, Bigger Than the Trail, and Grace Hospice, or Hospice Promise. And then they'll be able to use that money in specifically the Oklahoma area that my papa and Nana lived.
Mm-hmm. It's pretty encompassing. There's like you got the whole life, right? You want to inspire people to get out and do things. You want to take care of people that might be struggling with mental health, and if they are in the process of losing a loved one, you want to make it easier for them. You're basically doing the whole gamut of a person's anything that could be touching people's lives. Is there like a monetary goal? Is it like the goal like 10,000, 100,000? Do you have anything like that?
Yeah. So right now the goal is 100,000, and the reason I picked that is the couple guys that I talked to, they were able to get 10,000 without posting a lot and doing a whole lot of promo for it. They post on their Instagrams and a little bit on TikTok. But I'm kind of hoping to leverage, more of the connections that I've made, posting that kind of network ability to raise that 100,000, so that everybody can get at least that 33K, so they can do what they need to do. So,
yeah, I think it's achievable.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I posted my announcement on social media yesterday, and I think I'm at 300 already. So $300, which I haven't even started yet. Mm-hmm. So it's kind of cool that, I'm already at 300 and it's been just over 24 hours and people are already supporting. So I know that as time goes on and I post more and it's like, oh shit, Ranger's serious. It'll be a lot easier to kind of keep raising that money.
And it's like, even if you fail at the 100,000, that's still already $300 that's going to help people. Yeah. Like every dollar helps out nonprofits. I think people, if you have any extra time, for anyone listening in, like look for a nonprofit around you that has moved you in some way or that could move you. They need the love. They need the love really bad. And you also can pull their tax filings and see how well they're run. Yeah. I do this all the time now. Thanks to Lisa from Sens. She showed me how to do it. And now I've been doing it to all of them. To the point where I had a nonprofit that was coming on, and I started asking these questions, and they said, "Lowell, I need to leave. You're asking. I need to get out of here. I need to get out of this room." It's like, you're not even in the same room with me. But
you're in the same room. You're in your house, bud.
Yeah, you can leave anytime you want. Have you thought about how finding either some wealthy individuals or with these sponsorships, matching donations? So like have a person say like, "Hey, you don't have to donate. You can do matching donations, so up to 50,000." So and that could be a part of your thing as well. Like, hey, I got this big person in, Alabama, Arkansas. I don't know how you say Alabama without singing the song. Like, you're a stronger man than me. But in Alabama, say like, hey, this wealthy person in Alabama who I just had an interview with is doing 10,000 matching for the next $10,000. So every dollar you put in now doubles. So that person, great write-off for them, great thing as well, and it galvanizes people to put more money in.
Yeah, no, that's definitely something I'm going to be working on. I don't have anybody like that yet, so I mean, if you know of anybody that may be interested, or to the listenership, like I'm pretty much down to work with anybody, just to kind of help hit that goal and see what we can do together. But and again, that's kind of going back to like my interviews and talking to people, like really making that effort to find the leaders in communities, whether it's business owners, leader, I'm hoping that connection while I'm working and talking to people will bring those about throughout the walk.
Yeah. And so you have a quote on your website, which I have quoted. I was going to use it for a different question, but I'm going to ask you this question. So on your website, for Dr. John Kedesky, train for climbing mountains by climbing mountains. What do you think this walk across America is training you for?
Ooh, that's a good ass question. I like that. I think the biggest thing it's training me for is to really learn what a commitment is. I think typically people are so focused on a particular outcome. I mean, for this, it's, I'm starting here, I'm ending here. Like, that's the outcome. But there's going to be hard shit. There's going to be bad weather, maybe bad people. Like, I can say the bad, the bad, the bad, the bad. But it's going to really train me, like, how committed am I? How much do I want this? When the universe tells me no, how do I get past that to get where I want to go? How can I find people that will help me along the way? How can I make my own luck? How can I do these things? And a bigger goal, a goal beyond the walk, is to do my business full time. And I think that's going to help me with that. When I get married in a couple years, okay, this thing, like, part of our relationship or something isn't working. Like, how can we get past this together? How can we stay committed to our goal of being married? Like, it's going to really train me to do hard shit because there's something greater on the other side.
That makes sense. I think if I was your fiance, hearing that you're going on across America to build the commitment juice, that strength, that's probably that'd be like a pretty nice thing. It's like, wow, pretty serious. Some people, you never know, right? I think that's pretty speaking of your character in terms of wanting to be very committing.
Yeah, no, she's gonna love it.
The time apart, yeah, the time apart.
She's like, probably gonna
enjoy the last, yeah.
She's gonna hear this.
Maybe we should go next time. You guys, it's like a couple across America.
Yeah, well, the way I describe it, I've asked her, she politely declined. She's a lot more of an outside person than an outdoors. So, if she could stay in the nice air-conditioned room while I'm making the walks and just go to the next one at the end of the day, she would do that probably. But, yeah, she's not much into, like, camping and all that kind of stuff. So, I mean, I'm not really either, but I think it'll be cool. And I'm sure she's hearing this when this comes out and being like, well, don't you think there's better ways to show that you can be committed than doing something kind of dumb?
Yeah. I mean, dumb things are pretty useful for demonstrative things. And it just happens to have that benefit, Like earlier, it's not like you're like a performance. It just happens to have like that commitment building strength to it.
Yeah.
It's definitely. A twofer. Yeah.
For sure.
Is there now going to the lizards, because before we were talking, I was fine with lizards. That makes sense to me. But you said that you were a part or are a part of a spider rescue group of some sort. Why do spiders need rescuing? They live near the lights and they eat bugs. What's going on for the spiders need rescuing?
Yeah, so from 2020 up until the end of 2023, I worked with an organization called the Northern California Herpetological Society. Based out of Sacramento, I was the president for a few years. And part of that organization is rescue and rehabilitation. So my little brother and I are one of the leopard gecko rescuers and fosters. And I'm one of the few people that will take in the spiders as well. So, I mean, I have, 13 pet spiders? Yeah, 13 pet spiders, and I have one foster at the moment. So, going back to your question of why do spiders need rescuing, when you're thinking of spiders, what do you think of exactly?
I'm picturing the spiders that are getting... Spiders are 30% bigger in cities because they sit near the lights and they're getting fat. So I'm picturing those really big fat spiders that are near my lights. I love the spiders. I love spiders inside my house as long as they're not evil ones. And I give them names. Like there's one in my bathroom and his name's Frank. And he's killing all the flies or any flies that could be, or any bugs that exist. The spiders are killing them, and it makes me happy. So I'm
Gotcha.
picturing Frank, I guess, a daddy long leg.
Okay, so Frank the daddy long leg, like the house spiders, probably wolf spiders, black widows, brown recluse,
Yeah,
probably
I don't
all those.
I don't keep black widows in the house.
Yeah, I don't either. I just don't let these guys see.
Yeah.
But the kind of spiders that I'm talking about are more so tarantulas.
Hmm.
So like the big honking ones.
Yeah.
And in the reptile hobby, invertebrates are also like a subset of that of collecting animals in that regard. So I mean, I have one that's has some purple in it, some blue, yellows, greens. Like there's some really pretty spiders, and the issue with reptiles and exotic pets that causes them to need rescuing a lot is they're very easy to take care of. Like my snake, I haven't fed him in almost 3 weeks, and he's perfectly fine. If I tried to feed him right now, he probably wouldn't eat anyway. Um, Most lizards, some need to eat every day, some need to only eat a few times a week, and spiders, feed them once or twice a month, really, like depending on their age and how much you feed them at once. Why is that important? Because people will get one and they're like, well, shit, man, I'm bored. Like, I don't do a whole lot with them. So they get a second one, a third, a fourth, a fifth. And I'm like, I'm up to 12, or what did I say, 12, 13 spiders, a few lizards, and a couple snakes. And it's like, I'm chilling. I can take care of them. I can feed them. But then it's when people start getting 15 snakes, 20 lizards, 30 spiders. And then it kind of becomes more so of an animal hoarding situation.
Yeah.
And then they can't take care of them, or they lose their job, or something happens. Then they have to get rid of all of these 20, 30 animals. So that's kind of where the reptile rescue came in. And we're like, okay, we have a network of 10, 15 different fosters. We'll kind of place them in those homes. We'll adopt them out to people that can take care of them. So that's kind of how we end up with a lot of spiders is they're very easy to take care of. They don't take a lot of space. But when something happens, now there's 20 spiders people have to figure out what to do with. So though it's those spiders that need rescuing.
Yeah. So I want to pitch you an idea.
Yeah.
I think you should rebrand in some way and start something called Ranger Rescue. And a part of your walk across America is you're gonna have a little pull trailer, and you're gonna have all little different spiders in there. And as you find the perfect habitat for them, you're gonna live stream releasing them back into the environment, and people can get little badges and be rescue rangers too. That's
So cute. And that's kind of what I was mentioning. Like before I started the coaching business, I thought I was going to do like animal breeding, and the name that I had, which I don't know if it's copyrighted, was Home on the Range, because like Ranger, Home on the Range, within range coaching, it's like the perfect name. So the what Ranger Rescue Ranger, that's going to go on the docket of potential ideas.
I could see it, and especially if I assume to some extent, once the spiders are good, you're gonna put them in the wild. You can find them home, right? They go back to the desert or wherever they're from.
Not necessarily. So with exotic animals like spiders, lizards, geckos, snakes, once they've been in captivity, so typically people breed them like the ball python I have. Ball pythons are from Africa. Bearded dragons are from Australia. But they were brought over, they're bred, you can get really pretty colors, whatever. You can't just release them into the wild. Florida has a really big problem right now with like reticulated pythons and Burmese, because they're not from that area, but they're out competing the native species. So like with the spiders, they're from all over the world. Like, God, I can't remember, like South America, Ecuador, like all these different places. So one, they probably wouldn't survive in most climates in the US. Two, they probably wouldn't survive in the wild because it's like, you release a cat into the wild, they don't know how to hunt very well enough or avoid certain predators. So the animals that come in through the rescue, we don't release them into the wild, but we find them new homes with other people that can take care of them. Whereas if we were wildlife rehab, that's more so what we would do. Somebody finds a duck with a broken wing or a lizard with a laceration, they would rehab them and then release. What NorCal Herp Society does is more so bring them in, rehab them up to a good weight that they're eating, that they're handleable, and then adopt them out again.
Yeah. I know you're moving away from it, but I really love the Ranger Rescue idea. If you
Yeah,
have like a YouTube channel, there's like a Cody Peterson guy with a big hat, and he puts like
yeah,
snakes on them and he lets them bite them. You're like more like the crocodile hunter type guy, where you just like you find animals that need help and you
yeah.
find them homes and stuff like that. Ranger Rescue, patented pending for anyone out there. If he reaches 100,000, he'll consider it seriously. That's I'm putting words in your mouth. But
Well, I mean that
so
is a big thing. It's like I do want to have things like that in the future. Like I would really love like a series of businesses that are philanthropic in nature, like the coaching business, like we're helping people, a tutoring center to help students, a animal rescue to help like that's something like I would really love, like the Kielak Corporation, Kielak Holdings, I don't know, to really be focused on that. So that really takes that part of my brain that says help out however you can. So I love
yeah,
it.
yeah, it's great and it works with your name. It has
Yeah,
so many different things about it. And here's the thing too. You could give people a little badge when they adopt it. When they take on one of your animals that you've
yeah,
got up to fighting weight. When they take it on, it's like, oh, now you're a rescue ranger too.
yeah.
And that'd be really cool. It's like
Well,
a little
that's
buy-in thing.
yeah.
Um,
It's really building that community too. Like,
yeah,
hey,
people love
now you're
that.
part of this group. Welcome. You know,
Yeah, you get to be part of the
love it.
Slack or Discord or
Yeah,
whatever.
yeah, exactly.
The on your website you mentioned outside of just like pitching you a bunch of things, you have enough, you're about to walk across America. I think you have enough things on your plate. The one thing you said you do is, and this is a quote, new heights in their business while building deeper relationships with loved ones and discovering new things about themselves in the process. I think we've talked about a lot about love in this situation. Can we expand on that concept, focus in on it? How do you help people build deeper relationships with loved ones while building a business? I think that work-life balance is something people don't talk about at all.
Yeah, and I think so. My what I really want to help people with is personal wellness and business success. I feel like a lot of entrepreneurship coaches really focus on the business success point, which is
Hmm.
great. Like if I'm paying someone to set up my Etsy shop or build a funnel, like that's kind of what I expect them to do. Like set this thing up for me, get it going so I can make more money. Okay, cool, thanks. But what I really want to focus on is kind of the person behind the mission
Hmm.
rather than just the business making the mission happen.
Sure.
So what I mean by that is what I see a lot of people do is kind of fall into that trap of working 40, 50, 60, 70, 80 hours per week without focusing on what's more important in the long term. Because I think we all see a lot of those people that say, I work, 24 hours a day. I never see my family. But really, the idea of entrepreneurship is pitched to a lot of people as make your own hours, sip Mai Tais on the beach with your wife and your kids, and have all the freedom you've ever wanted. And when people kind of get into it, they realize it's a lot more work. Like it's very easy to fall into an idea of what is it? More so, not growth mindset. The opposite of that. Scarcity. Sorry, I'm like forgetting my own
Mhm.
words. They fall more so in that scarcity mindset of I need to always be going, I need to answer every single phone call, I need to get everything done, or else everything will fall apart and I won't have any of these relationships. So what I do is I come in and I help them set up a coaching plan like, hey, what do you want? How are you going to get there? And I've had people that are, lawyers or business owners. Like, I want to still grow my business. I still want to show up, but I want to be able to make time for my family. There was one woman I worked with that worked with a couple different nonprofits. And one of her very first goals was spend 2 hours per week with my husband. I was kind of like, why is that important? She's like, well, we live together. We have the same bedroom, like we hang out, but none of it feels very intentional. Like we're not really growing together or learning a whole lot. So I want to be able to put everything away, sit with him for a couple hours, and whether it's watch a movie, go on a date, etc. And by the end of it, she was doing that several hours a week. and feels more connected to him now than the past several years. So I think it's more so just helping people realize that you can still do your business, you can still make an impact while focusing on yourself and what you really want. Does that
Yeah.
make sense?
Yeah. Well, most people waste a lot of time in business. I call it busy idiot, being a busy idiot. It's where,
Yeah.
for anyone who hasn't, I'm thinking of a very specific person who's a very big busy idiot. There's a thing where like the business isn't doing well, or maybe the business is doing well, and you think more, like you're saying, that if I do more, it's better. More is better. More is better. More is better. And so you just grab a lot of stupid shit, but it
Hmm.
doesn't, like if I send out an email to this person, does it have a substantive benefit to the business that is more important than anything else I'm doing, right? If that's the case, then all I should be doing is writing emails for the next several hours and like really habit stack that thing. So I'm really efficient by the end of the hour and like I'm doing a really great job. But what a lot of people do is they'll do like, I'm going to do 7 minutes of writing emails, and now I have a new idea. Where now I'm going to do social media posts, and now I have a new idea. Where now I'm going to look at my business plan, make sure it's really good. Or now I have new ideas, or they have like they just let everything hit them all at the same time, and they don't like triage it to like prioritize it at all.
Yeah.
So helping people eliminate the busy idiot while focusing on what's important, their family, friendships, and that type of stuff, and maybe other things in the business as well. Like once you start assigning value to stuff and then organize it, I think it makes things a lot easier. You don't need to do everything to keep a business alive. In fact, it's deceptively simple how little you have to do to keep a business alive. I know business
Yeah.
leaders, terrible business leaders. Business ran terribly, like terribly, terribly.
Mhm.
Like it surprises me that they're still in business, but they do the fundamentals right. They have more money than they spend. Like they that's I mean that's one thing that you could be doing very well of. But you don't actually need to do you don't need to be perfect to do well enough to be successful in business. So you don't need to be a busy idiot optimizing for all these different things.
Yeah, and I think it's just kind of the same thing in those relationship aspects too. It's about listening, about knowing what the other person wants and needs to feel loved. Like I think a good example of that is like my fiance and I, like the love languages aspect. Like I'm not really a words of affirmation guy. I like hearing that I'm doing a good job, but for her that's really important, and it's something that I have to learn how to do so that she feels loved. Um, Listening, like even like with the ring, what I've heard some other dudes kind of say is like, I wanted to get the ring that I thought was pretty. I'm like, I hear you, but I'm like, shouldn't the girl have what she wants 100%? You know what I mean? So it's like the difference between a yellow gold ring and the white gold ring that she wanted. So
Yeah,
even in that case, it's like you were saying, it's deceptively easy to be, or what is it, deceptively easy, or
it was deceptively easy how little you have to do to be successful.
yeah. And so kind of applying that same tactic to your personal life, like just break it down into those chunks and do the fundamentals until it's natural and easy for you.
Yeah. So I have another pitch for you. I don't know why this is happening
Love it.
today. It's because it's
I
Friday.
love it.
I just have like an abundance of ideas. So you do a live stream once a week, and the live stream has a hashtag Love Ranger. People can write in, and you give them advice for their love life, friendships. People you love your friends too if you have good friends. So
Yeah.
the whole idea is you walk people through like the lawyer lady who wanted to spend more time with her husband. That type of stuff. People can call in 2 hours a week. I don't know how the live stream would work. They can call in. You can have phone calls and that type of stuff. Love Ranger hashtag. What do you think of this idea?
I like it. It's like, have you ever seen the therapy gecko?
Yes, like yeah,
Yeah.
like that.
Like Lyle, like very much like that. Like I'm all set up with my tent and my camping stuff. Right in, let's do it.
Yeah, and
But
like
also,
if you have a decent phone, you could be doing it on your walk as well.
yeah,
I'm just adding to your day. I'm just like you have to like navigate across America, and there's just a list of all these ideas Lowell gave you. But I'm sure you value hierarchy them. Would you do Love Ranger?
I think that would be interesting. I
Yeah.
think I do want to figure out a way to do some kind of live streaming.
Hmm.
And I thought of, like video games. I mean, I've always wanted like live stream Minecraft or something. But I think it'd just be so funny. Like, write in your life coaching, whatever questions, and get it answered while I play Minecraft. Like, I've always thought that that would be just so funny.
Yeah.
Like, Super Minecraft is giving you live business and life advice, and but I think that'd be hype, is having more of a
Mhm.
theme like that. So I'll figure out how to live stream for you.
Yeah, and you can just live stream yourself.
Yeah,
Have you and your wife on or whatever, or you're just like walking and you're killing time as you focus on the horizon.
yeah,
And it's kind of a little bit of a trick too, because like if people are too distracting, they'd kill you. So there's like,
yeah.
so they have to like be pretty careful in how they give you your stories. But Love Ranger, we got Love Ranger, Ranger Rescue. We need some more Ranger stuff in here.
I
Um,
know.
the so when you hunt when you hunt people, when you are in the country county agriculture commission inspector, what
Mhm.
does that look like? I know you're soon will be ending this time in your life, but what is that like as a job?
Yeah, so it's interesting. The way I kind of describe it is I'm a farm cop.
Oh, sweet.
So
Do you have a gun?
no,
Do you have corn?
what
I
was
don't know
that?
why I'm doing this. Just go ahead. I'm sorry.
You're good. No, no, we don't have anything. We don't have any. We have an iPad, and that's about it.
Mm,
But essentially, what in my role, I'm a pesticide use enforcement inspector. So essentially, there's certain laws and regulations that are in the Food and Agriculture Code for the feds, down to the California Code of Regulations for the state, and permit conditions for the county. So there's like this hierarchy of the EPA, Department of Pesticide Regulation, down to the county ag commissioner that says this is what is required of you as a pesticide applicator and someone that uses any kind of pesticide. And when I say pesticide, it's herbicides, insecticides, fungicides, fumigants. I call it just like the side soup. Like anything that kills something is a pesticide.
mm,
So even everybody that's listening to this, I can pretty much guarantee has a pesticide in their house because per the way that we describe it, bleach is a pesticide, Lysol is a pesticide, um, Roundup that you might have in your shed for your garden, like those are things that we do technically regulate. But in the way you can tell is if it has an EPA registration number on the side. If you look, you'll find it. We more so focus on agricultural use. So if I'm driving around in my county truck and I see someone applying pesticides, I'll pull over, stop the application, and do a safety inspection. So basically, hey, good morning, my name's Ranger. I saw you're applying. What's in the tank? They'll usually tell me, oh, it's Roundup and this and that. Awesome, great. They take me back to their mix and load site or their main area. I make sure they have all the right personal protective equipment, that they're applying at the correct rate, they're using the right nozzles, making sure that they're doing everything in their power to protect people, the environment, and animals.
mhm.
And honestly, a majority of the time, they're doing everything perfectly fine. So it's really just that checks and balance to make sure that they're being good stewards and following the laws and regs that are in place for them to follow.
Are they happy to see you when you roll up?
No, not at all. Um, which I mean, we're the enforcement guys, we're the county, we're the government. So I don't blame them, but I really try to have that focus of I'm not here to get you in trouble. I'm here to be a resource. Like there's all these laws, like they're confusing. Like we have to spend 40-hour plus weeks learning what these things mean so that we can be sure that we're enforcing them correctly and that we can explain it to folks when we're actually doing those enforcement inspections. Um, so I try to take that more educational route and try to be like a happy face. And if there are any problems, like, hey, honestly, this is a problem. I have to write you up for this. I'm going to have to do a follow up inspection. I'm going to send you an email with what the issue was and how you can correct it. So they're not really happy to see me, but it's kind of like if it's not me, it's going to be somebody else. So I try
Yeah.
to make sure that I'm as much of a resource as possible.
How big are the fines? Like, how big of a detriment is this?
Right now, our fines are pretty low. New regulation just got passed to up it pretty significantly. Um, but it's even then, it's still a process to give a fine. Like I can't give a fine on site. It has to go through a investigation process. It has to be written by a higher level inspector. But right now, for paperwork issues, I believe the lowest fine is $50, and the highest fine we can give is 7,000. And that's kind of like you didn't submit a piece of paper on time, all the way up to somebody got severely injured or ill from a pesticide application.
Hmm.
So they're not super high right now, but they're going to get raised pretty significantly. I don't know what the numbers are right now because it's still going through whatever process DPR does, but it's going to get raised pretty significantly.
And do you have equipment? Like, so if you roll up and I know I'm doing something wrong, and you say, "Hey, what's in your tank?" I'm like, "It's totally this legal thing," you know?
Yeah.
Do you like the pH droppers or something, like some way to like tell what is what?
No. So, I mean, people technically could lie at any time, and it's very hard to prove. But thankfully, in terms of legality of pesticides, it's, from my understanding, very hard to get illegal pesticides. It's more so they're applying it incorrectly or not using the right material. So typically in the moment, if they are applying something, we can do like take me to your mix and load site. Hey, here's the 4 pesticides that I'm using. Here's the adjuvant, the insecticide, the herbicide, whatever. I write them down. I read the labels. Typically, if they're not wearing something required per label, it's really easy to see right there. It's like, oh, it says to wear 14 millimeter thick gloves. You're wearing surgical gloves from Walmart. Like that's not correct. Like that's a violation. Or, hey, this pesticide is actually only for cherries, but you're using it on almonds. That goes against the label. You can't do that. But if there were a case where there was like a drift incident, like farmer A applies to his field, but it drifts to farmer B, then we would do an investigation and we would go out and we have sampling equipment. So we'd go out there, take swab samples, foliage samples, all these other kinds of like investigative, I don't know, methods that we can use. Um, and then we send those to a pesticide residue lab, and then they do all the work and let us know whether or not drift actually occurred.
Mm.
So
It-
there's more
yeah,
so
that makes sense.
that an aspect to it. Yeah.
Yeah. Um, in your opinion, since you get to see farms, doing their job, do you think how are farms doing in California?
What do you mean by how are they doing?
How they like, they seem to be. Is agriculture thriving? Is it stagnating? Is it going down? Do you like? What is your sense of the industry?
Yeah, I'm not 100% sure. It's hard to say because I'm kind of entrapped in that enforcement side. Um, but just talking to growers, it sounds like it is a little bit of a struggle right now. It sounds like every little thing does impact them, and it's interesting to see because even like we were talking earlier about the rain, that it's beneficial. I talked to a grower the other day, and he's like, "Yeah, it's great, but it's going to absolutely screw up the price of almonds." Like, why? He's like, "Because everybody has water, so we're all growing a lot more. It's just going to flood the market." I'm like, wow. This whole time I thought it was going to be like this great, perfect thing that everybody's excited about, but it's really not. Or like market shifts and this and that. Like I know a bunch of guys, I think they're pulling out all their walnuts because the prices are just absolutely atrocious and they're planning something else. So it's just interesting to see like the management decisions that people make, but also just what they're willing to share with the random county inspector that's at the door. So I think
Yeah.
overall they're doing pretty well, but they're definitely not making a killing.
Mm. Is it has it made the shift where it's mostly corporations owning everything, or are there or as a percentage do family farms to some extent? Because at one point in time in American history, it was like 99% American farm, like American family farm type farm setups. But now it's more like monocrop, Monsanto type things. Do you think it's making the shift where it's very much corporation out there, or are there still like mom and pop, uh, farm, family farms?
Yeah, I'm not
That was a
100%
struggle.
sure. I know that we have a lot, like, there's a lot of permittees in the county. So I can't imagine that a lot of them are like these mega corporations. And like, I know that a lot of them are like smaller family farms. But I do know that typically growers and farmers are a little bit older. So, I
Yeah.
mean, unless the family passes it on and they keep taking it and going generation by generation, I'm sure it's going to be a lot easier for these larger corporations to swoop up and buy that farmland turn it into something bigger. And it's just like real estate investing, because it sounds like it's making that much. It's going to be a lot more, what's it, like the BlackRock kind of bigger groups rather than grandma that owns a couple rentals in the city.
Yeah.
So I think as time goes on, it might be a lot easier for those bigger organizations to swoop up and take more.
Makes sense. Is there anything about America you're looking to learn about when you do your walk across America? Is there anything that you're like questions that you have that you're curious about that you think you might get answers to, or just not get answers to at all?
Yeah, I think it's being open to what the walk tells me is a big thing. But something that I would really love to find out is, I grew up in a smaller town, and it's very much easy to, the U.S. is the greatest country in the world. We're the best. Or not pigeon. The bald eagle screeches in the background. Fireworks. It's beautiful. It's great. Yeah. And then going to Davis and seeing like the shitty stuff that happens and knowing more about it, like, is it really the greatest? Like, I think kind of what you were saying earlier is being open to hearing those stories. Like, I don't want to just be like, look, America's great. It's perfect. Everything's wonderful. But it's like really showing it for what it is. And I think that is something that I'm interested in seeing is not, is it good or is it bad, but what's really going on from what you can see from 3 miles per hour, Yeah.
It'd be interesting. I look forward to following your journey. This is a general question that, because we're called Learning with Lowell. Is there anything you're currently working to learn? And is there a person you'd recommend I have on to help you learn it? Those are 2 for questions. It's cool if there's something that you're excited about learning outside of just the walk across America that you just mentioned.
I think I've been learning a lot about business, like just general business topics. I just think it's fascinating. Like, people think that you go into business and you just start selling something. Just how many different hats an entrepreneur wears, I think is crazy. And I think with tax time coming up, that's something that's been on my mind a lot. This is my 2nd year filing taxes with a business in my name. So it's like, oh shit, I did a lot more this year than I did in previous years. Like, or the previous year. How the hell am I going to do that? Like, did I keep track of everything correctly? Did I do everything right? It's just kind of like a spooky thought to have, I guess, if that makes sense too.
Yeah. Are you doing double book entry? Double book accounting?
See, I don't even know what that means. So
okay, I have a book for you. Cool. Where is it? It's called. Here it is. Oh, okay. Starting a business all in one. Everyone, check this out if you want to do a business or whatever. It's called Starting a Business All in One for Dummies. Shaq recommended it, and I've started many businesses, and I've learned a lot in this. It's really they do high level deep dives, all this stuff like managing assets, how to do accounting, and if you don't know it from here, there's someone online that can go deeper into it, but you have the context to ask the questions. But yeah, double entry bookkeeping is really simple. It's a way to basically keep track of everything you're doing. It's like software that can help you too. But if you're looking for a book, there it is. You don't have to read it like all in one go. You can just jump to the spots that interest you.
Perfect.
I should get sponsored by this, especially since we're about learning on the show. But
it's
like chapter like book 3, handling your finances, is all about like setting up your books. Profit loss statement, income statements. This probably is the most exciting thing. How to prepare for the tax man. Big one that you're looking at right now.
Yeah.
But an accountant can help you with that as well. But bookkeeping is one of those things that I think you see it in the paper all the time. People, it's kind of an art in of itself.
Yeah.
So, it's like $20.
I was gonna say I just found it on Amazon for like $20-$25, so I was like, cool.
Yeah.
Not bad. Yeah. I'll have to buy that.
I'd recommend picking it up. Yeah, it's really great. And if anyone's out there at zero or anywhere in their hero journey, it's a good place to polish up.
Yeah.
So I have some lightning questions for you, and a philosophical one if you want to take a swing at it. I'm curious what your answer would be. But when were you? This is not the philosophical one. This is lightning. But when were you happiest in life?
When was I happiest in life? Probably right now.
That's awesome.
Yeah,
I'm happy for you.
I appreciate that.
Yeah. Well, it's better than like, oh, when I was like 4. It's like,
Yeah. Yeah, I definitely think right now is the highest. Like, I mean, I have the pretty girl, I have a business, I'm doing something crazy. I mean, I even have a good job. It's just like a lot is lining up, and I think that it's like a very good base for the future. So I've definitely had my
yeah.
low points. So being where I'm at now is pretty great.
Yeah. At the same time, this is a month right after you proposed.
Yeah,
So, I mean, if you're not happy right now, it's like, like the frogs dying off. It's like maybe there's like a symptom there. You might want to like look into like the pesticides
yeah,
running off or something like that. But it's good to say, proposal coming, and you're really excited and happy. That's fantastic.
yeah, for
I look
sure.
forward to my invitation to your wedding. So second one is any book recommendations on your end. Anything that you recommend people check out. It could be something about spiders, lizards, anything about the world that you know, anything at all.
Yeah, a couple. Art of Possibility by I can't remember if I can stand up for just a second.
Yeah.
So I would probably say these two. I think The Art of Possibility by Roseman and Ben Zander. It's not gonna. I have the blur on in the background.
I'll take your word for it.
Yeah, I think it's just a great book. It's more so about finding like possibility in like oh really the art of possibility, just finding opportunities in the world, and they have some
Mhm.
really good like thought processes and tools to do that. Um, I'm doing a terrible job selling it, but it helped me a lot in starting my coaching journey. Um, and then on the business side, I think I just love his work. But the $100 million offers by Alex Hormozy,
Mhm.
I just really like the way that he put things together. I'm still honing in on the different aspects of it, but I think that series of books that he's making is just I don't know, the art style, the way he describes things just really works for my brain, and it helps make kind of what you're saying earlier, like with the book for dummies. Being able to get just enough to understand what people are saying has been very useful for me in terms of starting my business. So those two, I think, are some of the higher level stuff or the higher recs for me right now.
Sweet. Uh, in California, what is your if it's Friday? If you could eat anything, what's the dish?
If I could eat anything, oh, I would go
Yeah.
to
What are you eating?
Nani
What?
Sushi in Davis. It's an all-you-can-eat sushi place. Yeah, if I could go there right now with my fiance, we would tear it up for several hours. Just, I sushi, the all-you-can-eat variety is my favorite.
So I would imagine you would have been exposed to that in a small town. So that was like in a college experience. So college crafted you
For
with
sure.
sushi.
Yeah, so my very first sushi experience was in high school in our small town.
Hmm.
It was a California roll from the local grocery store, and my two best friends and I tried it, and we are like, okay, this isn't that bad. And then when we went to Reno, we saw that there was a sushi place, and we went there, and we're like, this is the greatest thing we've ever had in our entire life. And then I went to Davis, where there's even better sushi, and I've had it kind of all over, and it's like, wow, really zero to hero on this one.
Mhm. Is there a particular type of sushi you recommend?
My two favorites are the rainbow roll and the anything like the lemon salmon rolls. Those are my two favorites, other than just salmon sashimi.
Hmm. I haven't had the two you recommended, so I'm gonna have to check that out the next time I'm at a sushi place.
Yeah.
All right. So philosophical question,
Okay.
and I'll read it. I'm gonna say it as clearly as I can because it sometimes confuses people. But all right, you're a judge, and 4 people are brought before you. 3 of the 4 people, God has whispered in your ear somehow and told you that 3 of them are guilty of the murder, evil thing that they just did. But one of
Okay.
them is innocent. So basically, what happened is a murder happened. A constable came by and grabbed the nearest 4 people he could. And he just so happened he got 3 people right. You have to cast a sentence for the 4 people. You can only give one sentence. What sentence do you give the 4 people, and you cannot ask any further questions?
Oh my god. Okay, so I have to sentence them no matter what.
Yes.
Oh my god. Oh, it's very much like that's a rough one. I mean, probably my gut reaction is probably life in prison.
Hmm.
Because I mean that hits the 3, like what I think that they would get or should get or whatever. I guess probably that. Like it's very much like do you pull the lever and move it from the 1 person to the 4, like the train question, huh?
Yeah. So the 4 people, life in prison, no possibility of parole.
Oh, can I say possibility of parole?
You can do whatever you want. You can say they could eat Sunday they're forced to eat ice cream sundaes for the next 30 years. It's whatever you want it to be.
Oh I just don't know how the law system works. I guess with possibility of parole, if they can, I don't know. Every time I say something and you go, yeah, or you move, I'm like, shit, that's the wrong answer.
There's no right answers.
Yeah. Yeah, I guess with like possibility of a retrial or as more information, I guess. Because I'd like to have it out to try to find a way for the for that 4th person to be able to get out as soon as possible, but without the other 3 using that same system. You know?
Yeah, I don't think you could get away with it because they would use the same system.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So, I don't know. My ideal would be a situation where all 4 of them go to prison, and the 3 that did it stay there, and the 4th one has an opportunity to get out. I just don't know what that would be.
They can't do it. That's So you can send them all to prison, and you can make a lifeline for all 4 of them to have because that's fair. But they all equally would have the opportunity to use it.
Mm-hmm.
So then, do you give them that lifeline?
Could it be a way that like because God, I would assume that if they did something atrocious, if they got out, there's a chance they would do it again. So like some kind of surveillance thing that if it was going to happen again, they would just be like immediately locked up or something. I don't know.
I think there's a thing. I think like there's a period of time after you get out of prison, or if you do something bad, you go back to prison, and there's like things added on.
Yeah,
something like that.
I wouldn't want because then that's a weird way of being like, well, if the 3 of them, well, they're all on like super strict parole for the rest of their life if they get out, and they do something bad, they go back. But I wouldn't want those 3 to have an opportunity to hurt someone else. But then it'd be like a weird, like, if they're about to hurt someone else, then they go back. But then how do you prove that they were going to actually do it,
Yeah. I don't think you can accomplish what you're seeking out to do here.
I know. But I want that to be, that's the intent I'm going in with.
Okay. It's like when, the Supreme Court, they make a decision, and there's a little bit of like, we really wish we could have done this other thing here, but we couldn't because we all voted in a different direction. I think that, like, you have your sentence, you're like, we passed the law, but they're also like, we kind of wish we had a bit more flexibility here to help out these people, maybe pass more legislation to help out these folks.
Yeah. Let's go with that one. It makes me feel better about it.
Yeah, you're like a board of judges to yourself. There's like a bunch of rangers in you. Well, I mean, I do appreciate you coming on the show, entertain me with the philosophy, and then I look forward to tracking you in a non-creepy way across America. I hope everything works out well. And if we don't talk next, good luck, on your trip. And thanks for being on the show.
Yeah, I appreciate it. I'll be posting on TikTok, Instagram, all that fun stuff. So follow along, shoot me a DM. I'm always down to chitter chat.
What is the name of the what's the name of the thing that they should be following? Like if they were like on TikTok or on social media, what would they Google to find you?
I think everything should be the social medias are at within range _coaching.
Okay, that makes it easy.
So that's what it should be on everything. If not, just within range coaching. If you find one, they're all going to be linked some way. So
sweet. And those will be in the show notes for everyone else as well. But thanks for coming on the show.
Yeah, I appreciate it, man. Have a great rest of your day.